Hey church, this week we're going to be reading from Psalm 62 as a church, so if you'd like to be a part of that, you can contact me and I'll send you which verse to read, and you can share that this week during our Resurrection Sunday celebration. Some things I wanted to point out in this psalm. It's a pretty awesome psalm because it talks about rest. It begins by saying, "My soul finds rest in God alone." And I don't know about you, but lately I haven't been resting very well. Could be thoughts that I'm having, could be I have a young child who doesn't sleep very well. But regardless, I think some of us could really use some good rest. And we're reminded right away that our soul finds rest in God alone. Our salvation comes from Him. He alone is our rock and our salvation. And it says it again in verse 5, "Find rest, O my soul, in God alone. My hope comes from Him." So we're reminded again and again that our rest for our soul, that peace that we're looking for, ultimately comes from God. Again, it reminds us again in this time that we should be trusting God through all of this. Verse 8, "Trust in Him at all times, O people. Pour out your hearts to Him, for God is our refuge." So in this trusting, it's good that we just pour out our hearts to Him. If you're struggling in this time, I encourage you to just pour out your heart to Him. Come to Him, speak to Him, tell Him what you're feeling, tell Him what you're going through. He knows what you're going through, but He wants to hear from His children. And so we're reminded to pour out our hearts to Him. And finally, I love verse 11. This is another great theme throughout this psalm. It says, "One thing God has spoken, and two things have I heard." Here's the two things. That you, O God, are strong, and that you, O Lord, are loving. Isn't that an awesome promise for us today? Two things about God that we're sure of. That God is strong. That God is capable in all situations. He is stronger than anything that comes our way. And that God is loving. O Lord, you are loving. So Psalm 62 is our psalm. I encourage you to read it ahead of time. And again, if you'd like to be a part of our sharing for Sunday, just contact me, and I'll be sending you a verse that you can read, and send the video in, and we'll put it together for Sunday. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your week.